Did you know that the first FPS video games were Maze War and Spasm, developed in 1973? You're listening to the Xbox Hub Podcast, the official podcast of the txboxhub.com. For all the latest Xbox news, reviews, videos, and opinions, make sure you visit the txboxhub.com. But for now, settle down, get comfy, and open your ears for some podcast delights. Hello, welcome to the Xbox Hub Official Podcast, episode 175. My name's Gareth Bridie, I'm going to be your host. On my virtual left is Mr. Darren Edwards. How you doing, Darren?
Hello, good afternoon. Sunny afternoon, and once again, I'm very well. How are you? Very
good, thank you. On my virtual right is Mr. Richard Dobson. How you doing, Richard?
Hello, good. How are we all? I knew you were going to call me then.
I was going to call you. Diddums.
Diddums.
There is.
Yeah.
A short name.
I'll take that.
I've had a very long day, so it's good. Diddums, and there's Diddums on the right, and there's Tweedledum opposite me, Mr. Paul Renshaw. How you doing, Paul?
How very rude. Hi, Gareth. I've got to say at the top of the show how in awe I am of your absolute professionalism.
Absolutely.
That you managed to nail those intros every time without any repeats
or anything. At all. Never.
Yeah. Never. No, that's what I was saying. I am constantly amazed.
I know. It's good.
So good job, Gareth. Well done, mate.
Thank you very much. Listeners will feel the sarcasm dripping off Paul's.
All I'll say is it's amazing what you can do in the edit.
It's great. It's really good. Right, gentlemen, how's our week been? Let's start with Darren. How's your week been?
My week has been okay. I suppose the highlight is probably going to see the Meg 2, which I think I mentioned last week. And it was not great, but it's exactly what you'd expect from those type of films. Ridiculous, massive shark going around terrorizing people, but it's not just sharks this time. There's other stuff in it as well. It's a little bit all over the shop though, but you kind of get what you expect from that film, so that was okay. And then really boring, just had a big sort out of clothes and things and took things to the charity shop. So yeah, a bit of a life admin week really, so nothing too exciting on my side.
Oh, okay. That's all right.
Vinted, mate. That's what you want.
Yeah. Let's go to Richard. Have you had a better week than Darren?
From the sounds of it, yeah. I think last time I was on the podcast, I was saying I was going to Dublin for the day with some friends.
Yeah.
And we got there. We got into the centre of Dublin about 7:45. The only place that was open naturally was a Wetherspoons. So we were going in there to watch. I think at this point it might have been the round of 16 game for the England Women's World Cup. And we got there. No one was drinking. We were like, this is a bit odd even for a Wetherspoons. Second half finished. Then it was obviously going to extra time. I was like, what's going on here? No one's drinking. So we had a chat with the bar staff, and it turned out that we'd gone on a bank holiday and they weren't serving alcohol till 12:30.
Oh wow! Okay.
So a faux pas on my planning part, but we made the most of it after when the bars finally opened. Anyway.
Oh my god! It was a good day in Dublin.
Yes, yeah, the weather was nice. Dublin, we did a bit of touristy things. Got to see a few sites such as the Big Needle that Darren told me about. We were going to go inside. Yes, we were going to go in the Rock and Roll Museum until we realised it was €20, and the only two pictures that we could see were of U2 and Sinead O'Connor. Now that she's everyone's favourite again.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh yeah. When you said U2, I thought you were talking about two of us from the podcast.
Yeah, you and Gareth.
That forgotten Irish rock band U2.
Yeah. I mean, Darren had a band in the early 90s.
Yeah.
When he was about 12.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Paul, what about your week? How's it been?
Well, my week has been, I think exciting is the word. I've been to Manchester again because they've finally finished knocking all of the walls down. So I've had to do all the cabling again. So I have spent the majority of the past 2 days working at height. Now, this usually was either on top of a very tall stepladder or wandering across some rafters. There's no falling through roofs this week. But then I needed to do some cabling in the warehouse part. So we had 3 scissor lifts on site. So I said, can I have a scissor lift? And they said, no. I said, well, how am I going to get to the roof of the warehouse? They said, what we'll do is we'll get a pallet, stick it on the front of the fork truck, and you can stand on the pallet. I said, well, that seems completely safe and very sensible. So, yeah, I was being driven around about 10 meters in the air on the top of a forklift, balanced on a pallet while I strung cables about. So, yeah, you can tell the health and safety guys on holiday. But, yeah, so that was perhaps the highlight of my week. Not so much the working at extreme height, the fact that I managed to get back down to the ground without falling off. So there is a bit of a pattern developing whenever I try and go places. I do tend to end up falling and injuring myself, but I managed to avoid that this time. So everything's good in the hood.
Who's running your place? Is it Chuckle Brothers?
No, there's only one of them now, isn't it?
Oh,
so it's like for me. So,
Right.
But yeah, it's honestly, mate, I can't even. So yeah, it was lots of fun anyway. So
Good.
yeah,
There you go. Answer again. I've been doing lots of stuff, but I thought I'd just mention now because we are a gaming. That's what we do, isn't it? Podcast, we chat about games. I decided, occasionally. I thought I need to sort my hard drive. I need to get rid of these games that I've had in my hard drive that I keep going, I'll get around to playing that again, or I might finish that game off, and a massive clear out. And got rid of everything because the Starfield is ready to download tomorrow if you want to do a pre-download. Do you know how many gigs it is? I bet you do.
It's 125.
125 gigs.
So, how have you not got 125 gig free?
Because I review games, unlike someone out here who just does your own thing. Loads out, but I've got loads of space now, so it's good. And a massive clean out. So 125 gigs. And also all the other games that are coming out, what's Forza going to be? That's going to be big, isn't it? I can be probably
but you won't play that, though.
Well, I'll have to play it for a week.
I'm not convinced. There's no shops to stop and look in.
Oh, I bet
because it's all set on racetracks.
It'll be lovely, shiny things to look at for a bit. Prague will be there, shinier. Guarantee you. Good. Yeah, so that's it. My hard drive's nice and sorted out. Got rid of loads of games. I've only got a couple in there now, review games, and that's it. It's good. Ready for the autumn huge amount of games that are coming out. Let's talk about games. Let's talk about games we've been reviewing. Darren, let's start with you. What's your first one?
Well, as I said, I was looking forward to it, and Stray landed on the Xbox last week. So I put my hands up, being a cat owner myself, to review it, and the review is live now. And I never played it the first time round when it last year when it was released for the PlayStation. So I was glad to kind of save myself, and I really enjoyed it. I think it's brilliant. It's basically you play as a little cat, and you fall down into this underground abandoned city, and it's just populated by machines, and they've got their own little society, and there's also some mutated little monsters called Zerks that kind of chase you in certain segments, and all you're trying to do is find your family and get back up to the surface world, basically. And then partway through, you befriend a little drone called B12, and it's just really, really brilliant how the cat and the drone build this relationship. And I love how all of the machines react to the cat, and I just love it. It's real. I said in the review, it's very, very good at creating a world that you can totally escape into. The platforming's solid as well. It's not overly complicated. It's quite a linear adventure, but that's quite nice because you can just kind of take it all in. I think it looks fantastic as well. It sounds brilliant. The animations of the cat itself are brilliant. You can curl up and have a little sleep, rub up against people's legs and show them affection, meow whenever you want. It's just brilliant. And the best thing is you can jump in a little bucket and ride zip wires from building to building, and the cat sitting in the bucket is the cutest thing I've ever seen. So I loved it. The only criticism and the only thing that stopped it getting a 5 from me was it is short. So I'm one of those gamers who likes to have a look round, find the secrets, and even I finished it in just under 6 hours in a couple of sittings. So it is short, but it's brilliant while it lasts. And I'm not sure if there will be a sequel, but I would very much welcome it because I think it's brilliant. And it's not retailing at like full price game. It's like £20-25 if it's on sale. So it's worth it. I loved it.
Good. I've played it. I loved it as well. Richard, you played it?
Yes.
Did you like it? I can't remember.
No, I was a bit disappointed with it.
Yeah.
I think Darren's right with the world that it creates is fantastic, but I just thought the gameplay was a bit repetitive for me.
Right. Yeah.
We should point out though that you don't have cats, though you have rabbits.
I put my
So
prejudice
if
to one side as well, and
I don't
still came
believe
away
it.
disappointed.
If there was a little bunny in the game, I think you'd have been giving it 5 out of 5.
Yes, 100%. But
Paul, you haven't played it, have you? Yeah.
I haven't played it. No, I'm quite keen to. So I may have to see about pacing that. But yeah, playing games for fun seems to be something of a dying art in the world of a game reviewer these days. So
I think you'll enjoy it, Paul. I understand.
I think you're right.
Where Rich is coming from as well, but for me, I'm the type of gamer, probably like Gareth, that likes to look at in shop windows and things on Forza, and just being immersed in that world was brilliant. And I kind of forgot that the gameplay is quite linear, and you don't have to find items and solve really complex puzzles. For me, it was just about the kind of experience, and that's why I really, really enjoyed it. But I did, as I say, not give it 5. It got the hallowed 4.5 out of 5 score from me. So
Paul score.
I hope you're immediately going to have the piss taken out of you.
No, it's good.
Oh, I'm sure
anybody who gives a game 4.5 these days, it's like it's open season, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, good, Richard. I knew you were having a good time, Darren, because you put on Discord, I've just come out of a sewer and it's 1:30 in the morning. That could
Yes.
we were hoping you were talking
Nothing
about
to do with video games.
Yeah, I was going to say. He was confused that with a night out in Nottingham.
Good, there you go. Richard, what's your game?
I talk about Strange Horticulture first, which is a game I think that's been out on PC for a while, but it's made the jump over to Xbox, I believe. I don't know if it's on anything else. So it describes itself as an occult plant puzzler. You end up inheriting this shop from a deceased relative, like all good video games seem to start, and you just have a screen in front of you that's got a lot of weird and wonderful looking plants, and then people come into the shop and sort of describe these plants or describe a plant that they're looking for, and you have to then match up the correct plant with what they're requesting. And as the game continues, there's a story involving a weird witch cult and someone being summoned from somewhere. It gets quite confusing at times. But then you also have this big map, which is separated into grid references. And this is the bit that I really enjoyed. After each day, you get given a little cryptic clue as to a grid reference. And then if you select the correct grid reference, you unlock new plants. And then you get letters and stuff that have these weird references as well that you have to find. So this treasure hunt aspect of Strange Horticulture I really enjoyed. Some of the clues that they give you are quite ingenious in the way that you work them out, and then later on you get this round disc, and I think is it the old Spanish pesetas that had a hole in the middle? It's like that, so that it's got this square in the middle that fits just around a correct grid reference, and then there's a load of symbols on the side, so you need to figure out the correct grid reference and then the correct symbol, and that will point you to other locations to find as well. The actual matching up of the plants to what people are requesting I found a bit weak. especially in the early game, because even though you only have a small selection of plants at this time, some of their descriptions are like, oh, it's blue and it's got leaves, and you could have 2 or 3 like that, and it is a little bit guesswork. It doesn't, whereas the grid references it's either right or wrong. These descriptions of the plants are a little bit obscure at times, and if you get so many wrong in a day, you have to then solve. You sort of descend into a little bit of a darkened state, and then have another separate puzzle to solve before you can then continue to solve these plant puzzles again. I think it's 6 or 7 hours to complete. There's multiple endings, and there's also an achievement for finishing it without using the hint system, which I had to use several times because of the obscurity of some of these clues that I were being given for the plants. I think I gave it 3 stars. It was good. Like I said, the treasure hunt aspect was really good, and I would have much preferred it to just be that, basically. But the matching up of the plants I found a bit weak at times, especially early on.
Good. It does sound, it's intriguing. Yeah, but it does sound like it's a bit hard work.
Yeah, once you get more plants, you have this encyclopedia that has details of all the flowers, but it doesn't tell you specifically what they are. You need to then read that and find it. Once you start getting more of an understanding, it does become a little bit easier. But that first hour or 2, it is a bit of a slog.
Yeah. Okay. Strange. Okay, 3 stars. Thank you, Richard. What about you, Paul? What have you got?
I have got
4.5 game have you got? Sorry, go on, Paul.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. I have been playing a game called Shadow Gambit: The Cursed Crew. And it's a sort of stealth strategy game. And the twist is that you're playing as a crew of undead pirates with special powers. So if you imagine like the start of Pirates of the Caribbean, Curse of the Black Pearl, where they're wandering around and they're all zombies and stuff, it's like that, but you're controlling them, and it's really, really good. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. The story's cracking. There's you have to rescue a ghost ship called the Red Marley, and that then becomes the base of operations. And then you have to recover her crew and revive them, and then you can select them to go on missions with. And all of the characters are very different. They've got, like the ship's doctor, for instance, can grow bushes from nothing that you can hide in, whereas the woman that we start with, called Aphia, she's her ability lets her teleport to enemies and stab them and stuff. So it's very, very good, very enjoyable. It looks great. The voice acting in it is fantastic. It's all proper pirates. You walk around going, "Arr!" So, and you know, the missions are quite big with a lot of objectives to do. So sneaking about, it's very, very stealthy. You cannot play this like you're Rambo. You've got to sneak. You've got to hide the bodies. You've got to make sure you don't get seen. But there's nothing better than coming across like a group of enemies and planning out what move each crew member's going to do, and then you launch the attack with just a single button press, and it's brilliant. It's really good. And I will invite you, Gareth, to guess what score I gave it.
I reckon you gave it a 4.
Well, in that case, you are incorrect, good sir.
What did you get? You did give it a 4.5.
It's not, is it?
It is, yes.
I love how
I seem to be stuck in a rut of only playing very good games at the moment. I'm looking forward to something dreadful.
Yeah.
No, I'm not. I'm never playing a bike game again after that Monster Energy one. I'm still having PTSD now.
But Paul, can I just ask you, is it an RPG?
No, I'm not taking questions.
Or is it an RTS? What's the style of it? What can you compare it to?
It's a stealth strategy game.
Oh, a stealth strategy game.
So it's not turn-based. It's all, you control each member of the crew. You can control them as a group, or you can control them individually. And then basically you have to accomplish the missions that Marley sets you.
So almost like a command and conquer thing. You'll select them as units, or you select them on their own, and they go off and do their little bits on that.
Yeah,
kind
but
of.
a lot more stealthy.
Okay.
And with many more undead pirates, no tanks.
Brilliant, perfect. Thank you.
I'm glad we got to the bottom of
I got to that. Yeah. I've been playing a game called Scarf. I reviewed, I think. Scarf is a little platformer. There's a story about Cosmic Dragon getting split into 7 different regions, and then you have to go off and basically, you don't worry about any of that. You've got
Don't worry about the story.
Don't worry about that. You've got a little scarf that's a sentinel being. It's like a part of the dragon, so it kind of like goes around your neck, but also gives you special abilities like jump, double jump, gliding, little catapult technique later on. You can do grappling as well with it. So the scarf acts as a kind of like a way of you doing a normal platforming game, and it's the visual look of it. It's almost like a little bit like Journey, the PlayStation game. It has a little bit of feel of that. It's a very kind of lovely looking game, even though in close up the textures aren't great. But it's a nice experience if you like your platform games, and you like it's like a 5-hour experience. I really enjoy myself. I really liked, one of those games you sit down and go, and then you realise actually I've nearly done this. I've sat down for the whole night in 12, like Darren in the sewers at 1:30. I'm the same thing. But yeah, it was a really nice experience. It was quite a nice little summer game to play for some reason. I don't know why I think that. It reminded me a little bit of On Me as well, which is a game I think I reviewed on Game Pass, and what's that one? Rhyme as well. It has a little bit of elements of that. Yeah, really, really good. Some good visual storytelling, lots of collectibles to find, some nice little game mechanics. And that's out now. Scarf. I think it's quite cheap. I don't think it's very expensive. Good. I'm getting through this. Darren, what's your game? Your next game?
So my second game is Broforce Forever. And I know you might be expecting Paul to talk about this one, but I've taken this one because I remember playing it when it first came out years ago. I think it was back in 2015 for PC. And it kind of harks back to the days of Metal Slug and side-scrolling shoot-em-ups like that. And it's very kind of satirical in terms of patriotic Americanism. So, every time you clear an area of baddies, it's area liberated and stars and stripes, spangled banners and all this business. So it's brilliant. It's got a wicked sense of humor, and you play as several characters that are inspired by movie legends from Hollywood. So you've got Ellen Ripley instead of Ellen Ripley from Alien, Rambro instead of Rambo, and so on and so forth, you can imagine. But recently it's had an update, so it's Broforce Forever. And this is actually the first time it's made it onto Xbox, because it's made it to Switch before, it's made it to PlayStation, but finally it's made it to Xbox, and it's on Game Pass, which is really exciting. So as you basically fly around the world liberating countries, whether they like it or not, and you drop in via helicopter and start shooting bad guys basically, and you free other bros as you play, and that gives you an extra life. So if you then die as the character you're playing, you then play as that character you've just saved, and the lives stack. And all the characters are, as you'd expect, faithful to those who have inspired them. So Ellen Ripley from Alien, for example, she's got a laser blaster, but you also get a special move, and that's a big flamethrower, like in the film. So it's really well done, and it's pretty straightforward. You run around and shoot stuff, but it's really good fun. And there's lots of explosions, as you can imagine, and then that breaks apart the stage, so you can break pretty much anything. So you've got to be careful, because if it starts a chain reaction, you can fall to your death, and you can get caught up in explosions really easily and get killed. So it's really, really good. There's also online multiplayer and local multiplayer. We're going to play a bit of that later. The only thing is, for me, as much as I enjoy it, I think as you get further on, it gets more challenging. It does get a little bit frustrating at times, because sometimes you'll feel like you've been unfairly killed, or if blocks fall from above, they can crush you quite easily and kill you. So it kind of disrupts the rhythm a little bit. So I kind of have taken breaks and gone back to it, because if I get killed so many times in the same place, I want to avoid throwing my controller at the wall. But that's where I think multiplayer will come in, because you can drop in and out. It's on Game Pass, it's online. So it's going to be, I think it's going to breathe replayability into the game, because you can kind of get your friends involved and stuff. So yeah, really enjoying it. Review should be out very, very soon. Just a bit of multiplayer to test, and then I'll be there, I think.
Oh, you're not going to do it tonight. Enjoy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It sounds like a Gareth game, this, to be fair.
Sounds like I want to
Sounds like he
pluck
does
my eyes
nothing.
out rather than play. Richard, what have you got? I'm intrigued what your next one.
Yeah, I've been wanting to talk about this one for a few weeks now. So I'm going to give it its full title. Bear with me. So it's called Yeah, You Want Those Games, in inverted commas, Right? So here you go. Now let's see you clear them. And basically, it's, have you ever seen those adverts on like your news feed and stuff where you see like a guy, he's behind some pins and you have to pull them, but then if you pull the wrong ones, a wolf will come and eat them and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then when you actually go and click on it, it turns out it's nothing like that at all. But someone's created a game like those adverts, so you can actually play them now.
Right.
And I'm playing it on the Switch. I think it might be on Steam as well. And there's 5 of these games from like these adverts that you've seen. So there's that one. There's one where you're walking along like a 3D path precariously, and then you need to collect money and then use the money to build bridges over these obstacles. One where you're mixing up different colours and need to get them in the right order. And my favourite one is the one where you see a tower and you've got a number above your head, and then there's another tower with various other sections, and you need to click the right one to make sure that your number's higher than that one, so you can defeat the enemy. It's just these little adverts that you've seen. Someone's actually made a game of them now, and it's great fun. Each time you complete a level, you get a point to your IQ score, and then obviously as your IQ score progresses, you unlock various different things. There's a gacha machine, so where you can spend your coins and create your name badge, which seems a bit unusual because it's single player only, so no one's ever going to see it. I think at the moment I'm called Scintillating Santa Claus or something like that on it, but no one else is going to see it. It's just that kind of silliness, and the fact that someone's seen these adverts and thought, actually, I'm going to be the one that makes a game of these now. I think it's an absolutely genius idea, and I don't know why it's taken this long, basically. But yeah, it's good fun. Do a few levels a day. I think there's about 250 in total, and currently my IQ score is in the 80s. But I'm determined. You get different gradings on them. I'm determined to get 3 stars on each of them. But it's just something I pick up 5-10 minutes a time and do a few levels, and it's good fun.
Good. Hopefully they might come to the Xbox as well. Thank you, Richard. Paul.
I have a question.
Oh, go on, Paul.
You know when you say that you raises your IQ, is that in real life?
No, because my IQ is still way above 83.
If you do say so yourself.
Okay. That's what we should do on here. Live IQ test.
We should do a live IQ test.
Yeah.
I don't think we should.
Well, I think we should. I mean, you've been giving it Billy Big Bollocks there, so yeah, definitely.
Oh, get the bleeping machine out.
Yeah.
Sorry, Billy Big Potatoes.
Cut that bit out as well, Gareth.
Yeah, all right. I'll do that. I'll be on that. Be straight on that. Paul, what's your next
Hello.
one?
My next game is a little shoot 'em up called Astro Flame Starfighter. And it's about as exciting as you might expect. It's a vertically scrolling shoot 'em up. There's absolutely nothing original about it that I've managed to find so far. You go through the levels, you collect green blobs. There's no indication of what these green blobs are, but you can spend these green blobs in the hangar to upgrade your spaceship, because unlike most shoot 'em ups, there's no power-ups as you go through the levels. You have to finish the level, spend the blobs you've collected, and then you're more powerful for the next level, and so on and so on. It's the very definition of okay. It's not going to set the world on fire. It's not dreadful. And there will be a review forthcoming. And I'll give you a spoiler alert here. It's not going to get 4.5 out of 5.
Oh, God, disappointed.
So there you go. So, yeah, hopefully the curse is now broken and I will no longer have the Michael extracted from me forcibly by Gary.
No, you will.
Can I ask a question, please?
There is a HR complaint going in. Anyway, yes, sorry, Richard. Go ahead, my friend.
Why are you lying, Paul?
Why am I lying?
You're obviously going to give it 4.5 stars.
I am capable of giving it different scores. It's just that, things have conspired just lately to mean that I've played a lot of 4.5 star games. Yeah. So, and that is all I am going to say on the subject.
Let me just do the last game. I've already played this for about 45 minutes to an hour, so I'm not going to talk about Everspace 2. Now is on Game Pass. I think it came out yesterday. 30 gigs. There you go, another hard drive fact. Paul, I think you're reviewing, aren't you?
I'm going to be reviewing it.
You had a go yet?
I haven't had a go yet because I've been in Manchester for 2 days with Xboxless. Yes. So, yes, it's
all right.
As good as that, eh?
Yeah, it's all right. It's you basically there's a 30-hour campaign. You kind of go through the story, and you're in your ship and you're shooting things. It just doesn't feel very fast or very actiony. It's like the ship feels like it's always standing still. It's a bit jaggedy as well for me. It's freezing a lot and then starting again. So, but it's fine. It's fine. See what Paul thinks of it next week, maybe.
4.5.
4.5. Yeah, good. That's our games. Let's talk about some news, because there's quite a bit of news here. Let's first of all just talk Assassin's Creed fans. It might just be me, maybe Richard as well.
All 3 of you.
Yeah, Assassin's Creed fan. Yeah. Mirage is it's been given a release date. It's moved up a week, which is kind of, so they've said we're ready to go. So we're going to make it October the, I think 3rd or 4th. Was it 5th? Okay.
Yeah.
So that's good news for that week, because we've also got a lot of games to play. Really, this autumn is madness, especially
it's all Starfield though.
September, October though. God, that's mental. Yeah. So there you go. That's going to be their week. Interesting thing that's happened this week is about Forza, which is coming out maybe the same day or maybe the day after, I think, or something like that. Maybe the 6th. I don't know why I'm making dates up. There was a kind of debate, wasn't there? Because basically Forza said they're not going to, it's like with the Halo thing, and they said they're not going to be ready. They're not going to have, is that split screen?
Split screen
spectator mode, which is I always love that spectator mode from back in when we played on the 360. What was that brilliant racing game? Project Gotham Racing?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, that used to have it, didn't it? Spectator, you could just go around and look at what people are doing online. I love that. No one's had that. So they're getting rid of that. So this caused a debate whether our games suffering about having to deliver the Series X and the Series S. This would happen with Halo, of course, because they had to do it for the Xbox One as well, which was the reason a lot of people thought there was a delay for a year. Is the Xbox Series S struggling to keep up? You lot, what do you think? Do you think there's a story here, or is it just a lot of moaning?
I think it depends, doesn't it? Because it isn't as powerful as the X, but it is the same generation because it's like a different option. So I know that there's some commentary around Baldur's Gate 3 coming to Xbox, and is this a factor as well? Because that has reviewed incredibly well. I think it's the best review. It's just pipped Tears of the Kingdom now as the best reviewed game of the year so far. I mean, Game of the Year is going to be impossible this year. There's so many, and there's so many to come. So I think there is probably something in it. I don't think it's stopping lots and lots of games coming unless there's stuff going on behind the scenes that we don't know about, and it's a real struggle. But yeah, I think there is something in it, and it is a shame because it's meant that Baldur's Gate 3 has been delayed for Xbox players, and that's gonna feel like a missed opportunity, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's the only thing I would think is if it, and we're saying there might not be any, the Xbox people might go, it doesn't make any difference. But if there is a kind of like problem about certain things you can't do, as this generation gets bigger and bigger and goes on to 2028 when the rumor is for the next console, the games are going to get more and more powerful and use every element of the Series X and S. Will those problems further down the line become bigger? I don't know.
It's not so much the hardware, I don't think, isn't it? Isn't it that Microsoft have a parity clause, so that you have to, if you are doing something on the X, you've also got to do it on the S.
Isn't that
But that's
what I remember reading.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, that's probably.
With taking the example of Baldur's Gate, it's running the co-op again that's turning out to be the problem on the Series S. But when they launched the game on the Steam Deck, they disabled the co-op feature. It's just not there. You have to go into the boot menu of it and tell it that you're not running on a Steam Deck in order to put it back in. So, I mean, given that co-op these days, split screen co-op, is so rare, I can't remember the last time I played a game like that.
You will tonight.
It won't be split screen though, will it? Because
but the point
means you sat next to each other sharing the same screen.
But I think the point is, Paul, isn't it? If a game is like 4 years down the line and that game is using every ounce of what the Series X can do, would that be a problem for the S? Because it hasn't got the same power as the Series X.
Reading around, obviously doing all my homework and stuff ready for this podcast, it appears that the S, although it's the same generation, it's built to a lower spec. So the X will do all the 4K fancy dancy graphics, whereas the S is like a 1080p machine. So I mean, and I know we're all really big graphical fidelity guys here. We'd nothing like better than seeing a lovely 4K game. But I mean, if it's going to start affecting the way that games play, then I think this parity clause may have to go. It's all very well saying we'll bring a game out on the S as well, but it won't be quite as, it won't have quite as many features as the X does because it can't handle it.
Well, is that the issue though? The fact that developers are having to make slightly different versions of the game, and that's what's holding it up. Because I think the way forward with this, and I think they probably should have done it at the beginning, is this slim Xbox Series X or whatever. If it doesn't have a disk drive, then it would save some money that way because it's supposed to be a more accessible price point for people, isn't it? So I think that might be the only way if it's got the same power under the hood, but it's a bit cheaper without a disk drive.
But they do it all already with like your different graphical and performance things. So you always see that table now, and I remember Cyberpunk had it where the Xbox Series X could run it certain ways, the Series S could run it different ways that weren't as good. And then I think the PlayStation got it right in terms of their two consoles at launch, having a diskless version of the same console, I think works a little bit better in their favour as opposed to having this pared down version of the console, whilst it's a lot cheaper. But I think it is starting to cause a few issues now.
Good. Okay. Thank you, gentlemen. Let's talk about this Xbox strike enforcements idea. So the idea.
Are you worried?
Yeah, I'm petrified. It's basically we've got this system of like to stop abuse, to stop racist abuse online. There's a strike-based enforcement program go to Xbox, and I think the system goes: if you get one strike, you get banned for 24 hours. Is this right? Am I making this up? If you get
no, that's right.
If you get 2 strikes, you get it's like a week. I think if you get 8 strikes, you'll be banned for. Will you be banned for a year or forever?
A year, yeah.
Yeah, okay. And I think
you can still. You're only banned from the online section.
Right.
You can still play your game catalog and everything else.
Yes.
So it's not like a permanent ban where you lose access to all
Just
of
lose your Xbox.
stuff you've bought.
That
Yeah,
would be
basically,
harsh.
it just bricks it.
Yeah.
If you get a permanent ban, that's it. You can't even play the games that you've bought. So,
Okay.
yeah, be good online there, kids.
So
Does it?
Sorry.
I was going to say, does it actually brick the console, or does it just ban that account so people can get around it by creating a new account?
I think it bans the account, but then obviously you've lost everything that you've got on that account. You've lost your gamer score and your purchase history and all the rest of it. So it is quite a serious thing. So,
and I think the idea is that you can submit, voice clips that be of action. You can have a look. I think they're going to put this in a bit more, so you can actually be able to do that a bit easier. And there you go, and that's going to happen. We had this on the 360, didn't we? First of all, this kind of like, do you remember you could report players?
Yeah.
We talked about this.
Do you remember being on the underground zone as well?
Yeah,
that was the best place to be, because then you could just do whatever you wanted.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Do you think this is a good thing? I mean, there's people criticising and saying, I don't think it goes far enough. That's what some people are saying. Like a 24-hour, an hour ban or whatever it is isn't going to be. Isn't enough? You can just keep doing that for a while. What do you think?
I think it's a start, because we don't have anything like that in place at the moment. I mean, Darren and myself and Paul had it only a few weeks ago on Exo Primal, where some guy was spouting off in there about someone's grandma.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah,
So-
I forgot all about that. We should have voice clipped him and reported him.
Yeah.
But that was the first time it happened in a while for whatever reason. I think it might have been due to proximity chat or something like that. But obviously it's not gone away. So anything like that they are introducing, if it doesn't go far enough, I think it's a good start at least.
Good. Okay. Fine. Now, Darren brought this up because it's a really good thing. Is the THQ showcase happened, and Darren saw the whole thing. There was
Darren's the greatest.
He's very good.
Darren's your favourite. Yeah, we know. We know, Gareth.
Not like you.
What do we like? I mean, do we have a quick look through? The one thing I forgot about is Alone in the Dark. First of all,
I was about to mention Alone in the Dark.
Yeah.
Does anybody else think that the main guy that was in the trailer looks like Gareth with a bit more hair?
David Harbour.
Yeah.
No, the guy that was chatting away to the camera. I thought that was Gareth. I thought that was you, Gareth.
I'll take David Harbour. I like him.
Well, he had hair, but apart from that, he looked just like you.
Unbelievable. Yeah, that's good. But I forgot all about it. That's coming in October as well.
Yeah, that kind of. I think a few weeks ago it just kind of popped up after the showcase season. Was like, by the way, this is coming as well.
Yeah. I liked it Alone in the Dark back in the day, back in the 90s. I'll be intrigued by this. I'm looking forward to that. Anyone else? Any other games? Darren, what was your one? What was your highlight?
My highlight probably was Alone in the Dark, but I played a bit of Titan Quest years ago on I've got a couple of on Steam. So Titan Quest 2 coming out, I think a lot of people will be excited about, and it had quite an interesting trailer as well. But it's one of those games where playing it for fun might be difficult because it's quite a lengthy game. But you can play on your own, or you can get friends involved with online multiplayer as well, and it's steeped in kind of Greek mythology as well, which is something that really interests me. So I'm kind of looking forward to that. And also Trine, the fifth one, is coming at the end of August, which I know is really popular. And yeah, that looked pretty good as well. Again, it's a couch co-op involved in that. What Paul was talking about earlier. So
not on the Series S.
Not Series S, yeah. So I think there's some really good kind of sequels to well-known IPs that are coming that may have forgotten about, to be fair, with everything else that's coming out.
Can you just tell me a bit more about this Titan Quest? Because I watched the trailer and I thought, well, that all looks great, but I didn't have any kind of clue as to what the game plays like. What is it? Is it an action adventure? Is it a strategy one? How do you play it?
How to describe it? So it's like I guess it's like an RTS type situation. You've got to manage skill systems and pick up loot and stuff like that. But it's been a long time since I played it, so I'm probably not the best person to come to.
Okay.
But yeah,
You were
that's
my
like
last
a vibe.
hope, Aaron.
Oh, sorry, Paul. But yeah, it's I would say like kind of RTS style strategy.
Awesome.
Paul, what did you like?
I liked that. I liked Titan Quest. The trailer looked really good. I do like a Spartan, I have to say. The proper Spartans, not them ponces in the green power armor. Obviously a new South Park game is quite exciting. I do like that. I enjoyed the other two that I've played. So this one going 3D and being co-op as well promises that it might be quite good. We'll have to wait and see with that one. And then obviously Alone in the Dark. That's a very old and storied franchise with a new entry. I'm looking forward to that one. That looks like it should be quite good.
I thought Gothic 2 might be your bag, but...
Yeah, but I never played the first one, so I wouldn't have any idea what's going on.
Well,
I'd have to ask Darren to explain it to me, and
I think
we can go further forward.
I think hopefully they might take that into account. That people might know. Richard, what about you? Anything you like the look of there?
Yeah, I'm slightly skeptical about Alone in the Dark because I've played two of them. I thought they were both pants. Same too for South Park Snow Day, because whilst the last two were both very good RPGs, this one, with it going 3D, just reminds me of the original PS1 game, which was like a first-person shooter when it wasn't very good. But Recreation, I'd forgotten about this game. It's by the people at Three Fields Entertainment, who have previously done the Dangerous Golf, Danger Zone as well. They're all they were former Burnout devs. So yeah, I'm keeping an eye on this one now because they've got quite a good pedigree.
Oh, so it's from Burnout devs, is it? Because I thought that when I watched it, I thought this looked like the old. You could do the crash bit in the early Burnouts.
Yeah, well, that's what Danger Zone 1 and 2 are. It's literally just the crash junctions. They're a few years old now. That they did after they left Criterion, I think it was, that they left. So yeah, this sort of seems to be following along the same lines and looks pretty good as well.
Cool.
Good. Thank you, gentlemen. Now, last week we did the Xbox Hub team top 5 RPGs from all the stuff. Really angered Paul, but because none of Paul's choices are in there.
He didn't include any RPGs, but
he just
small details.
And we're going to anger him even more now because most of his choices didn't get into the top 5. So,
no one.
But this week,
surrounded by idiots. I know where Star's coming from now.
We're going to do the top 5 FPS games, and we gave them again. I did my list of a choice of 10. There was not many arguments about my list. It was okay, and everyone got a score, and now I've got the top 5, or maybe 6. I'm not going to say anything yet. Yeah. So there's a big list. We won't go through the list, the whole 10 list, but we're good. So we're ready for number 5. We should have some music for this, if I could.
Or possibly 6.
Yeah, or possibly 6, but number 5 is Wolfenstein games, the FPS Wolfenstein games. So that's what are they called? New Blood? Old Blood? Can't remember.
New Blood, Old Blood, and Young Blood, yeah.
Good? You happy with that, Paul?
Yeah, and Wolfenstein 2 as well, obviously. Yeah. Yes, I do like the Wolfenstein games. I enjoyed those immensely.
They're good, number 5. And number 4 is the Far Cry series of games. I'm a big Far Cry fan. I'm even like the ones that no one else likes. What was the last one? Far Cry
6.
What was there? Where was that based? I can't remember. There was a Colorado.
That was no. The Colorado was 5.
Oh, 6 was the
South American.
South American.
That was okay. Yeah. At number 3 is Doom. Recent Doom games 1 and 2. Darren would big fan of that, aren't you, Darren?
Yes.
Happy with that result?
Massive fan of Doom. Really good. Yeah.
And number 2 is Titanfall 1 and 2. Ooh.
So far so good, yeah.
Good.
I'm agreeing with this.
It's really sad that there hasn't been another Titanfall game. I know it's like mad, isn't it? It's mad that they went on to do, what's it called, that thing they do?
Apex Legends.
Yeah, I know. And at number 1, we have got a joint winner, the same points.
Is it COD?
Maybe you two can decide which one should win out of this. Maybe that's what we're going to do. We're going to actually give a top one for these two. It's BioShock series and Halo.
Oh, that's
God.
very
A
difficult.
joint
It's
number
not
one.
at all. It's BioShock because Halo sucks.
So Paul's got BioShock.
BioShock sucks as well, but it sucks slightly less than Halo.
Paul, come on. And Richard, what do you reckon? So Paul's going for BioShock.
In terms of it being a first-person shooter, I'll go Halo. Just for the gunplay.
Good. Darren, what are you going to go for?
I'm really conflicted because the first Halo is one of my favourite games of all time, but consistency across the series, I was more disappointed, especially 5. I was really disappointed in 5, and I've got mixed feelings about Infinite. So I'm really struggling. But I would say Halo just because I enjoyed the first one so much. But across the series, I think BioShock's got better consistency. I mean, I love BioShock Infinite. I think it's fantastic. But yeah, I'll go Halo.
And I'm going to go BioShock. So exactly where we left off.
It's exactly a draw.
Yeah, exactly a draw.
Gareth.
That's good. Sorry about
Gareth's taken us to deadlock.
that. Yeah.
We need an icebreaker. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe you can write and say which
I'll
one
tell
you
you
think.
what, we could make the best FPS of all time Battlefield.
Oh my god, that was one of the worst ones.
Bad Company 2
Please.
is one of the greatest games ever.
Yeah, no one thought about that, Paul. It was quite low. It's quite quite a low score.
Honestly, I tell you what, yeah, Philistines, a lot of you.
So there we go. That's our top 5 from us at the Xbox Hub team. Maybe we're going to do not next week because we've got the thing. Maybe the week after. I thought maybe we'd do open world games, maybe or driving, but we'll find out. I think driving. God, driving's a bit boring because it's going to be
I'm going to
Forza.
vote for Test Drive Unlimited.
Oh, that's a good game.
It's not.
No, it's not. Good. There you go. That's our little 5 then. We're going to do a Gamescom special next week. We're going to probably just preview the game for the opening night. Maybe have one prediction of what we're going to see. I mean, he's already said, Jeff, hasn't he, that don't expect new games. But I think he said this last time. It's going to be more about what's been happening in the last year. So games that have already been announced, which is not a bad thing because there's loads of stuff there. What's your predictions? I think they're 1 each, maybe. Darren, what have you got?
I've been thinking about this and I really don't know. I know there's updates of Alan Wake 2 and stuff in the pipeline. But not that I think it's going to happen. But I would love to see something resurface, like maybe Beyond Good and Evil 2. So I'll go for that, just to rile Paul.
It's not happening. Not happening, mate. Give up on it. Skull and Bones will be out before Beyond Good and Evil 2.
What happened to Skull and Bones? I forgot. Wasn't it meant to be?
It was meant to be out, and James is he's beside himself
But
with grief.
didn't they say there was something going to happen this summer? It was like the open beta and everything else, and no.
Yeah, they've gone back.
Who knows
they've
anymore?
gone back to beta. They had a man playing a sea shanty, and that was it.
Yeah.
When they
Oh
were
my
at whatever
God.
showcase they were at, the
I
Ubisoft
spent
Forward.
so much money on that. It's like the Tories. They spend money on these useless projects. Sorry, Paul. Go on.
Just floating there. Not doing
It's
much.
it's just like the system of government in this country, Gary. That was one of your most tenuous links I've ever heard.
Putting money into something that doesn't work.
Good grief. Yeah. Like actors.
Richard, what's your prediction?
Based on what Jeff said, then I would like to see some news about Dead Island 2 DLC.
Wow.
I'm
I don't know why that was a
tempering-
shock.
I'm tempering my expectations.
Richard's going to be happy as Larry if there's some DLC. Oh,
Good
good.
grief.
Well done, Richard. I like it. Yeah. Good.
Don't go in expecting too much, and
No.
you'll never be disappointed.
Good.
That's true. Maybe there'll be another Xbox collaboration, like the Porsche one or something.
Hey, that Porsche,
There was loads of that.
I would have loved that Porsche Xbox. That looked awesome.
Paul, what are you expecting? What's your prediction?
I'm going to. I don't know. I'll say that we're going to see EA finally come out and give us Bad Company 3 from the Battlefield series. Finally, I mean, I've only been waiting since,
What?
what was it, 2000, something like that?
More chance of Beyond
2010?
Good and Evil 2 happening.
There
Yeah,
isn't.
or Half-Life 3.
That's been quietly binned.
There was
There's only Darren who believes in it. It's like the Tooth Fairy or Santa Claus.
I hope Darren's right.
I hope he's not.
Scintillating Santa Claus.
Scintillating Santa Claus.
Podcast title.
That's
Good,
it, yeah.
absolutely.
There we go.
Scintillating Santa Claus in full effect.
Yeah. I'm going to predict. I'm going to predict something really boring because I know there's all the rumours already. So the rumour is that the Stalker game from the Ukrainian developers is going to get a release date, and the release date, the rumour is there's a placeholder at the moment for December. There is a massive gap in the sort of November, December time this year. There isn't much in there except for Call of Duty now, which we know is
To play everything in September and October.
Yeah, I know, but they still will try to fill it with stuff. So that feels quite a strong one for me that might actually make it this year, which would be amazing for Xbox as well because Game Pass as well, another Game Pass big one.
That would be good.
Yeah. So I reckon that. I think maybe on the PlayStation front, I mean, maybe they might have that Last of Us Fractions thing. Maybe they might see something like that. Yeah. Well, I think we might get some pleasant surprises in there.
I do have one more prediction.
Oh yeah, sorry. Can I say one more thing before that? I forgot.
Yeah.
I've got to say this. Richard, whatever happened to bloody your game, the Age of Empires? We forgot about that. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That should be there, shouldn't it? Because they did talk that's coming to Series X. Yeah.
To be honest, with Age of Empires 2 being on there, I'm more than happy.
Yeah.
I don't need 4 on there.
I want the videos about how to do that. What's it
The
called?
history lessons.
Yeah, that's all I want. Sorry, Darren, what are you going to say?
I was just going to say, knowing Jeff, I'm sure Hideo Kojima is going to pop up in some shape or form with 2 minutes of something that we don't know what the hell it's about and then vanish again. Because apparently he's got an untitled game for Xbox in the works. There's Death Stranding 2 coming up. So I think he will pop up probably out of a bloody Jack-in-the-Box knowing him. So I think he'll be there somewhere.
Death Stranding 2, Richard. What about that? Back to those.
That'd be good.
That'd be very good. Good, gentlemen. Thank you very much. What are we looking forward to next week before we go? Paul?
I am looking forward to not going to Manchester, hopefully.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
that's nice. Okay.
Manchester.
Manchester. Okay. There we go. Richard, what about you?
It's been a few weeks, but I'm off to a gig on Saturday to see a band called Frontiera, who are just the heaviest band I think I've ever listened to. So I've got my earbuds ready.
Jesus. God's sake, I feel old now. What about you?
You are old.
I am old, yeah. Not as old as you then, you're late 50s. Darren, what about
Me, I am younger than you, you horrible old man.
Darren, what's your...
Well, I'm keeping it current, keeping it modern, going temping bowling at the weekend with some people at work. So, yeah, I might even swing by for a carvery on the way home as well.
I tell you what, living the dream.
That's
Ten
a good...
pin bowling and a carvery. It's like the 80s all over again.
I love that. It's
I've not been since you can wear your own shoes these days. Apparently, COVID killed off the bowling shoes.
What,
so...
to a carvery?
Oh, well, it goes without saying.
You have to wear bowling shoes to the carvery and your own shoes to the bowling. Perfect.
I mean, I'll take any way to get into a carvery, so I'm not going to be fazed by that.
Good. I'm looking forward to next week's game. I think Immortals of Avion's out next week. We'll see how that goes. But for now, if we need to get hold of you, where do we get hold of you, Darren?
On Twitter, and my handle is @27Darren.
Good. And you, Richard?
Whatever it's called now, Twitter, X, Threads, Instagram, then my handle is @Dobbo1912.
Good. What about you, Paul?
I am on X and Threads, and my handle... Why are you laughing? My handle
ridiculous.
is @TheXboxHub.
And Instagram, Paul. You're on Instagram.
I am on it. There's still nothing on Instagram. I have literally no idea what to put up there. Honestly, it's like you've got Instagram now. Brilliant.
Put a
What
picture.
shall I put in there?
Put a nice picture of your family, or I don't know, anything.
Why
Or a
would I want to
car,
put my
as normal.
Why would I put my family on Instagram? That's just
You might be
wrong.
celebrating
But-
them and saying, "Look,
Hey, I'll tell you what,
Go on.
that would have been a good picture to put up there.
Yeah.
Did you see that photograph I posted, Gareth, last week?
of what?"
When I went fishing on Sunday, I called into McDonald's for breakfast, as you do.
Yeah.
And the entire car park was full of Ferraris, Porsches, McLarens, Aston Martins. It was unbelievable. It was like there must have been £1 million worth of cars there, literally.
Wow.
And then just as I was leaving, they all left at the same time as me, so I tagged on the end of the convoy in my little Vauxhall insignia. So yeah, it was great, but I couldn't keep up with them. They were quite a bit faster than my little diesel car would go.
It's like me and Forza Horizon when you lot have played the game for so long. My little blue car. Yeah.
But honestly, the sound as they started all the engines, it was just amazing.
Wow.
So
Good. Okay. And you can find me on all the things at GB Bridie. But for now, gentlemen, thank you very much. TikTok.
he's on the TikTok. Yeah.
But for now, we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
You've been listening to the official podcast of TheXboxHub.com. You'll be able to find all the notes of this show at www.thexboxhub.com/podcast. You can also check out our social feeds on Instagram and Twitter at The Xbox Hub, and search for The Xbox Hub on Facebook.